crucified, but their words will never die. Their words will never, but their words will never die. But their words will never die. But their words will never die. But their words will never die.
If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. That was said by Malcolm X, and it's definitely a quote I live by. I'm Shanique, and I'm a young activist in the making, and I'm here with Rosemary Mealy, author of Fidel and Malcolm X, Memories of a Meeting. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great, and it's so nice to see a young person like you challenging me and doing this. Thank you for coming to my home today.
Thank you for having me. So I just want you to tell me, tell us more about yourself.
I originally came from the southern part of the United States, and I was thrust into activism as a 15-year-old when I was challenging segregation in the South. I was in the Panther Party. First, I was assigned to the Panther Party in Philadelphia, and then from there I was assigned to the party in New Haven. I went overseas to Germany doing research. Every organization that I worked with, even in the Black Panther Party, I ended up doing a lot of the writing for the newspaper or the journals or just working in the community. So
wow, I actually like that. That's awesome, because I was mainly inspired about the Black Panther Party and the Black Panther, the movement in high school. I actually learned about it very late.
Okay.
But just learning about Huey P. Newton and people.
He expelled me from the party.
Oh really?
Oh yes, he did. But that's another
story. But you said that you write poetry, and then I know that you written the book Malcolm X and Fidel. And I just want you to tell me, how did you become interested in writing, actually?
I was inspired to write because we have a story to tell. And we want to tell the stories about our people that others don't tell those stories. Or if they tell them, they're marred with untruths.
Right.
So my interest in writing kind of evolved over the years. And then, of course, when I worked in radio, you have to be able to write in order to be able to develop your skills as a production person. Where I really honed my skills as a writer was when I worked in Cuba for Radio Havana, Cuba.
I, of course, would read the book. I'm very interested in it. I also wanted to ask you, what inspired you to write this book? Like about Malcolm and Fidel.
Okay, this book grew out of a conference that took place in 1990 in Havana. And the person who worked with me on that conference very closely was our sister, Sada Shakur. We ended up with a small delegation that included Brother Ilambe Brass, Kwame Ture, quote-unquote Stokely Carmichael. Many of those people have gone now. And there's a list of the people who were at the conference in the book. So then the conference was about Malcolm, but it was also highlighted about how the intervention that had occurred between Malcolm and Fidel when Fidel and the Cuban delegation came to the U.S. in 1960, when they were denied quarters at the Shelburne Hotel, which was in Manhattan around 39th and Lexington. The delegation arrived. Eisenhower was the president. A lot of anti-Cuban hysteria is going on. So the hotel refused to allow this delegation to stay in the hotel. So, as the book will say, Fidel threatened that he would set up tents on the lawn of the United Nations, right?
Right.
They had this incredible, this was a revolution that had occurred, and these were leaders. Malcolm invited Fidel to come to Harlem. But there were a lot of other people that were involved in making sure that happened. So in essence, up to Harlem they came. Here's a picture of Fidel embracing Malcolm.
Right.
Here they are like two little impish boys chit-chatting. Here, this one. I mean, these are all here.
Some lovely pictures.
Aren't they great?
Yes.
And so that was the genesis of the book. It emerged out of that conference and the challenge, and also my wanting to document this history.
I also wanted to ask you, you kept you know, I know Cuba is very important to you, and you kept making references back to Cuba. And I actually, you know, would love to go to Cuba one day. But I just wanted to ask you, what's your main connection to Cuba? Like, you know, like why Cuba?
Okay. Cuba is an African nation. The music, the culture, and it's all intact. Of course, even the indigenous religion, Santeria. I mean, that is fundamental to the Yoruba religion of Africa. The food. I mean, you go to places like Oriente, and the greens that they cook, you think it's from your grandmother. You know, the rice. You know.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You see, when you tell me all these things, because we don't learn these kind of things in school, and when you tell me all of these things, it just opens up my mind and makes me really want to go to Cuba now, because I never knew that, you know, before speaking to you, and now that just makes me want to tell other people and then recommend your book and, you know, let them know about, you know, these different things. So I really appreciate all of that.
Well, I appreciate you in saying that, because you cannot, you know, the law does not allow you to legally travel to Cuba. You have to be, well, you know, Beyonce and Jay-Z went, you know, but they got a license to go. But that was important.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Imagine free health care. Free education. Right?
Wow.
So because it's a different kind of society. It's a society that's built on
humanity and love. And
absolutely. And it's struggling. We have a lot of work to do, and it's going to be people like yourself who will carry on that tradition, and that's so important.
Yes, thank you. Well, just to wrap it up, thank you so much again for having me, and thank you again to, you know, Dammy and the Malcolm X, you know, production, you know, and my first interview.
Well, you did really well. You did
Thank
good.
you.
You might erase, accomplish what you will. Accomplish what you will.